what better video to end off the year than a video of me ranking all the movies I've seen this year that came out this year? So, yeah, Spies in Disguise, Knives Out, My Hero Academia 2 Heroes, and Jumanji The Next Level would not be on this list. Also, I forgot to add Bad Boys for Life, even though I have seen that movie this year, but I'll probably make a community post on YouTube with me ranking it, including Bad Boys for Life, but it won't be on this video. Anyways, let's start off the video of me ranking all the movies I've seen this year from worst to best, and yeah, let's begin.
Nobody else took their masks off.
Coming in at last place is The Lovebirds. Now, I didn't actually expect to watch this movie this year, but I did. It came out on Netflix. I guarantee most of you don't even know what the heck I'm talking about right now, but this movie came out back in May during the whole pandemic and lockdown and stuff. So yeah, I watched it and it was meh to say the least. It wasn't really as good as the other movies I've seen this year, and that's why I'm putting it at number 20 on this list.
It's me against the universe!
Coming in at number 19 is Phineas and Ferb the movie, Candace Against the Universe. You're probably thinking, dude, you're like a cartoon fanatic and all that. Why would a cartoon movie be this low on the list? Well, here's why. This movie is good, to say the least. Not great, but good. I still liked the other one better, though, and this movie was kind of meh, like bland at some scenes, and making Candace, who I've got to say is one of the most annoying characters on the show, as the main protagonist in this movie is not for me, which is why I didn't really enjoy this movie, and that is why Phineas and Ferb the movie, Candace Against the Universe, is taking the number 19 spot. Now to the next film.
Sometimes it's ugly.
Extraction. Now, I am guessing that most of you also don't know what this movie is, and that is completely fine because this movie also came out on Netflix, and I'm pretty sure only some of us have Netflix. But yeah, I also didn't really expect to watch this film, but I did because my father wanted the whole family to watch it. So that is pretty much why I saw this film, and it was actually pretty good. You know, it was from the dudes who made Captain America, the Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, Endgame, Age of Ultron, and the first Avengers. So that's probably why I enjoyed this film. It was action. It was an action-packed film. I mean, it had a lot of action in it, and of course, Chris Hemsworth is in it. Sorry, Chris Hemsworth. That's his name. The guy who played Thor in the Marvel films, and also the guy from Stranger Things who played Hopper. So this movie was pretty good, but not as good as the others, and that's why I'll be taking the number 18 spot on this list. The Willoughbys. Yeah, this movie is taking the number 17 spot on this list. The second animated film that I've seen. Well, it wasn't the second animated film that I saw this year, but it was a movie that came out for Earth Day, I think, and it was also another movie that was released on Netflix. So yeah, a lot of Netflix movies I didn't really like this year, but this one was pretty good at the most part. I mean, the story was pretty great, the song was good, and yeah, I guess that's all I'm gonna say. Good movie, you should watch it if you have the chance, and that's why it's taking the number 17 spot on this list.
He's sitting in that chair.
The Invisible Man. This movie was actually pretty good, and was, I'm pretty sure, the only scary movie that I saw this year. So yeah, that's a first. Well, not really, because I'm not a big fan of scary movies, but yeah, this movie is actually really good. I heard it's getting a sequel, I think, and I'm pretty sure. If not, then I'm wrong, but all I know is this movie is starting a monster cinematic universe for Universal. So like, Dracula's gonna be in the movie, the werewolf, Frankenstein, all those monsters that you see at Universal Studios around Halloween time are going to be getting their own movies because of how good this movie did. So yeah, watch it if you haven't. It's actually really good, but for me, not really good because I'm not into like the horror genre, and that is why it's taking the number 16 spot on this list. Hubie Halloween. Yes, another Netflix movie. Of course, like all the Netflix movies, that I've seen this year are really low on the list. But Hubie Halloween is taking the number 15 spot. Here is why. This movie is really funny. One of the funniest movies I've seen. And it makes sense because Adam Sandler worked on this movie. If you don't know who Adam Sandler is, then why would you watch his films? Even if most of them are crap and all. But yeah, I love this movie. Well, like not love, but it was an enjoyable film. So yeah, the cast is great. It has a really good cast. And the jokes are really funny. And that is why it's taking the number 15 spot on this list.
I don't even think you really know what a bad day is.
Unhinged. This movie was actually really good. I mean, not really good. I know, I keep on saying that. It was a good film. And it was, I mean, it wasn't really a scary film. Maybe like thriller, but not scary. Oh, I mean, they're both the same, pretty much. They both have the same definition, but whatevs. This movie was actually quite enjoyable. Even though I'm not really into these types of movies, but I watched it anyways. It has action. If you're an action guy, watch this movie. And yeah, it's pretty good. I heard it's gonna get a sequel, so make sure to watch this movie if you're planning on watching the sequel. So watch this movie first. And that is why Unhinged is taking the number 14th spot on this list.
I'm a fighter.
Clouds. This movie was actually really good. And now I'm not going to say not really because this movie was actually really good. I highly recommend you watch it because the same director that made that other movie, 5 Feet Apart. I haven't seen it, but I know what it is. I've seen the trailers and all that. Yeah, he made this film. And this film is actually a movie that was based on a true story. So I highly recommend you watch it because it is sad. Even though I didn't cry, but it was really sad. Not for the most part, but you know, it's about a guy who has to deal with cancer, but he wants to like pursue his dream, I guess, to become like a songwriter and all that. So highly recommend you watch it. The song is really catchy. All the music in this film is just spot on, and that is why Clouds is taking the number 13th spot on this list.
Places, everybody, places.
We Bear Bears, the movie. Now, this movie is really good because I actually do love We Bear Bears. Even though I haven't seen the whole series, like I haven't seen every single episode, I've seen most of it at least. At least when my sister plays it on Netflix, I would always be there and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll watch this too. Because We Bear Bears is actually a really good show. Highly recommend you to watch it if you haven't, because the characters are great. And this movie is really great. I mean, the villain is pretty good. Not like the best villain. It's not a Thanos, but like, it's one of those good villains, I guess. And there is one song which is kind of catchy, even though I've only heard it. The last time I've seen the movie was the only time I heard it. So I should probably hear it more to see if I like it or not. But yeah, the characters are great. The story is great. The whole entire movie is great. But not as good as the Steven Universe movie, because that has to be my number 1 favorite Cartoon Network film of all time. I don't know if any film will surpass it, but we'll have to wait and see. And that is why We Bear Bears the movie is taking the number 12 spot on this list.
Loyal, brave, and true.
Mulan. Yeah, this movie, I mean, you're probably thinking, why is a Disney remake movie this high on the list? Well, here's why. Mulan is not the greatest Disney remake, but it's up there, in my opinion. Like, sure, there's no music, like there's no songs from the original film, and that is pretty much the big problem that I had with this movie. Also, of course, why would you take out Mushu? But I know why, because Disney just wanted this movie to be more like Chinese tradition. I mean, more of a Chinese cultural film, because I know that a lot of people at China did not like the original Mulan, and that's why Disney wanted this film to please the people at China. So that's why it's like that. But, anywho, the movie is still great. Not as good as the original. We all know the remakes are always not good as the original. Even though I kind of liked the remake Aladdin better than the original, but that's just me. But yeah, this film was actually pretty good. I highly recommend you to see it if you have Disney Plus, because I'm pretty sure it's free now. But yeah, the fact that you pay $30 was just why. It's like you put Soul for free, but why did you make us pay $30 to watch Mulan? That's just a big problem for me. But whatevs, I saw it. It's pretty good. The music in the movie was good, and that's why it's taking the number 11 spot on this list.
You know what a harlequin is?
Birds of Prey, and the fabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Sorry if I got the title wrong, but I had to re-look at that scene just so I can know how to say it, because I got it wrong the first time, so this is a retake. Anyways, yes, so we're starting the top 10 list strong with Birds of Prey. This movie was the only DC film that came out, and, I mean, no, because Wonder Woman 1984 recently came out, but I haven't seen it, so that's why it's not on this list. And honestly, well, I was gonna say it was the only superhero film, but not anymore. That came out this year. But this film was actually really good. For me, I wouldn't put it. Well, maybe I wouldn't really put it in my top 5 for DC movies. I think, cause look, Joker's up there, Shazam, The Suicide Squad. Yes, I actually like that movie, and most people don't. I can understand why, and I am really hyped for the next Suicide Squad film, even though Will Smith's not in it, but still. Anyways, Birds of Prey was really good. Of course, Margaret Robbie. Sorry, I forget your name, Ron. But yeah, she played an excellent Harley Quinn, and is probably the best Harley Quinn in my opinion. Feel free to agree and disagree and all that. But yeah, that's why this film is taking the number 10 spot. Highly recommend it if you're a DC fan like me. Well, I wasn't at first, but things changed. And yeah, on to the next film. The SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run. Now, this movie didn't really surprise me. I honestly thought this movie would be really good. I mean, it is good. Great even. But it's not the best SpongeBob film, and that's just in my opinion. Even though the animation was so good in this movie. And the story was just not as good as the story in the first two films. Because, I know, Gary went missing. I wonder, I think something like that happened in an episode. I wonder, where have I heard that before? But anyways, the voice actors came back from the show, and obviously they're doing spot on with the characters they play as, especially Tom Kenny with SpongeBob. But a lot of plots in this movie was just why? Why is this happening in the SpongeBob movie? I know it's supposed to be weird and all, but why? And that's probably the main reason why I don't like this as much as the other two, aka Sponge Underwater and the first SpongeBob movie. Those two are classics, but this film was just not the best in my opinion for Nickelodeon movies. But it is better than most movies I've seen this year. That's why it's taking the number 8 spot on this list.
How is that stealing? If we're stealing it from ourselves.
Bill and Ted Face the Music. Now, this movie surprised me because I did want to see it, but I had no idea who Bill and Ted were when I first found out about this movie. And good thing YouTube put the first two films free on YouTube with ads. But hey, I was able to watch those two films, and I loved it. I loved them. So that's why I was hyped when I was able to watch this movie, because now that I've seen the first two, I could know exactly what's going on and all that, instead of being confused the whole time if I just watched this blindly without seeing the other two. But Bill and Ted 3 was really good. Or at least Bill and Ted Face the Music. Keanu Reeves, Alex Winter, they did the best playing as Bill and Ted. And of course, they were Bill and Ted all along. And I just love this movie. I think all three Bill and Ted films were really great. But this film would probably have to be my second favorite out of the three, because the first one was honestly a masterpiece, and that one has to be my favorite, and then the second one would probably be my least favorite out of the three, but all three were really good, and that is why Bill and Ted Face the Music is taking the number 7 spot. I mean, 8th spot on this list. My bad. Lol. Anyways, let's go on to the next one.
There are other kinds of trolls.
Trolls World Tour. Honestly, this movie actually surprised me. I mean, like, yeah, I know. Ugh, another Trolls movie. I hated the first one, so the second one should be as bad, am I right? I was wrong. I did not expect to enjoy this film. And I know most of you guys are like, bruh, why? Why do you like this movie? Well, of course, in my opinion, it's better than the first one. The first one was trash. The second one was pretty good. I'd even say great. Because, well, I mean, sure, Poppy was always, the annoying one and all that. But the music in this was really great. And there were a lot of cringy moments. So that's why I wouldn't put it like, I wouldn't say it would be as good as me putting in the top 5 I meant. But yeah, sorry for stuttering in this video. But the movie was great. The characters are great. King Trollocs has to be my favorite character in the Trolls franchise now. That's why I added him in character elimination. Now you guys know! Anyways, Trolls World Tour, way better than the first one in my opinion. And if they do make a third Trolls movie and it's something like this, I will be hyped. That is why Trolls World Tour is taking the number 7 spot on this list. I mean, The Croods A New Age. Now, this movie also surprised me. Didn't expect for it to be as good as the first one, which is, but I still prefer the first one more because this movie was just crazy the whole entire time. And at the beginning, it was kind of sad, but after that, it didn't really make sense. I'm not going to spoil anything because I'm pretty sure most of you haven't seen it, but it was really good. I highly recommend you to watch it if you are a DreamWorks fan because, as, like, you know me, I am an animated fanatic, also animated still. This movie is really good. Highly recommend you to watch it, and that is why it's taking the number 5 spot, I mean 6th spot on this list.
I'm gonna meet Dad.
Onward. Now, this movie was truly magnificent. Obviously, almost every Pixar film just blows me away because Pixar has done amazing films, made amazing films. WALL-E, the Toy Story movies, the Monsters Inc. movies, Monsters Inc. and Monsters University, the Incredibles films, Coco, and Soul recently. But Onward was just really good. And it's even as good as me saying that it would be in my top 10, which it is. Honestly, if you just want to watch a buddy film, because this is technically a buddy film, and also a magic type movie, this is the one for you. It's really good. And heck, it was even from the guy who made Monsters University. So, highly recommend it. Obviously, Pixar never disappoints me because all the movies are great, except for some. Brave. I just hate Brave. That's just me. Anyways, that is why Onward is taking the number 5 spot on this list.
Nope, I think I'll conclude.
Scoob. Of course, I'm gonna add Scoob this high. You know me. I adore Scooby-Doo. I adore the franchise. My favorite show has to be Mystery Incorporated. I don't think most of you remember that, but honestly, that was the best one, and it was also the darkest one. But this movie was really great, even though I would say it was like, I guess it was too kiddish at most scenes, and I didn't really like the people that voiced them like Daphne and Fred. It would have been much better if they had the original voice actors, but hey, at least they didn't replace Scooby, am I right? This movie is really good, especially, and the fact that it's supposed to start a Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe gets me so hyped. I know I said something like this back in the People Showcase, but I'm gonna say it again because I'm not a big fan of Hanna-Barbera cartoons, but most of them are really good. Scooby-Doo, Yogi Bear, Flintstones, Jetsons. Also, that Where's Corey series I made was pretty much, I was inspired by this little 30-minute movie that Hanna-Barbera made, which is called The Cartoon Monsters to the Rescue. I highly recommend you to watch it because it's free on YouTube. I mean, yeah. But enough about that. Scoob was just really good, in my opinion. one of the best movies I've seen this year, and probably is going to be one of my favorite films of all time. Hopefully there's a sequel. I don't think there will be, but I hope there is. And that is why Scoob is taking the number 4 spot on this list. Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, this movie, of course, is going to be really high on my list because I love Sonic. One of my favorite video game characters of all time and favorite video game franchises of all time as well. But this movie never disappointed me at all because, well, at first, I think we would all think this movie would be horrible if they kept the old design. I'm glad they decided to remake it because they listened to us, the fans. And this movie was really good, okay? I don't even care that it didn't do so well in their Rotten Tomatoes score. But this movie was really good. One of, and I'm even gonna say it, probably my favorite video game type movie. So, you know, this film is so great. The guy who voiced Sonic did an amazing job. Jim Carrey as Dr. Eggman, he was spot on the whole time. Loved this movie. Can't wait for the sequel, which is coming out in 2022. If you haven't seen it, what are you doing? Watch it! And that is why Sonic the Hedgehog is taking the number 3 spot on this list.
I did it! I got the gig!
Soul. Do you want to know how much I love this movie? I love this movie so much that it's already in my top 5 Pixar films. And that's saying a lot because there were so many Pixar films that I love. And this one is just really high up there. You know, like, out of all the 4 films that Pete Docter directed, which was Monsters, Inc., Up, Inside Out, and recently Soul. I mean, I still prefer Monsters, Inc. more than Soul because, of course, I love that film. Loved it ever since I first saw it when I was a child. But Soul is my second favorite from Pete Docter. I love this film more than Inside Out because, no offense, Inside Out is not really a good film for me, but it was still pretty great. And this movie was just spot on. It wasn't going for where most anime movies are going to, trying to appeal to children. This movie, at some parts of the film, it probably appealed to children, but it felt like it was an adultish film, like a movie that was for adults, in my opinion, like a kids movie that was for adults. I guess that would make more sense. But yeah, Soul, really good. Even if it's the last movie I'm seeing this year, it's really good. And honestly, enough said. Watch it if you haven't. So good. And that is why Soul, the music is great, the characters are great. Jamie Foxx playing as Joe Gardner. And you know why it's so great? It's so great that I'm even gonna add him in character elimination with Madness 2 and Total Paper Round Catch the Mole. So yeah, stay tuned for that. And as always, Soul will be a good movie forever in my heart, and that is why it is taking the number 2 spot on this list.
One for all! 100%!
My Hero Academia, the movie, Heroes Rising. This movie is just phenomenal. It's a flippin' masterpiece. And you're probably thinking, oh, you're just biased because you're a My Hero Academia fan. Well, some of that is true. But this movie is amazing in every way. Way better than 2 Heroes in my opinion. If you haven't seen it, you have to check it out. Because this movie is one of the best superhero films of all time. Honestly, it's just that good. I love this movie so much. The characters, the story, the music. Of course, all is amazing. Alright? That is why this movie is number 1 on my list. And yeah, it's confirmed. A 3rd movie is happening next year. And I am so hyped. This time, I'm gonna watch it in theaters because, yeah, I missed out on the last 2 and yeah, I don't know. But still, this movie is amazing. Check it out. And that is why this movie is by far my favorite film of 2020. Well, that is all the movies actually. Sorry, my bad. That's all the movies that are on this list. Thank you guys so much for watching and comment below. Let me know what you think of this list. And Well, yeah, I know most of us will probably not agree with most of the movies that are on this list, but that is all fine. We all have opinions, and I can handle your opinion and all that. So, yeah. And also, let me know in the comments down below what are your favorite movies and how you rank them. I'd like to see some of you guys do that, because none of you guys did that in the last one when they had to talk like all videos ranked. So please, let's see some of that here. Anyways, thanks you guys so much for watching. As always, I'll see you in the next video. Hopefully you guys will have a happy new year, and as always, I'll see you in the next time. Bye.
Crazy rebel star.